Cyberpunk 2077 is a game I haven't touched in over a year since completing the base game, even since the massive changes introduced with the 2.0 patch updates. As it turns out, the DLC for Phantom Liberty was just the right thing to pull me back in, and I'll begin by saying that I'd highly recommend it. In this video, I'll be sharing my thoughts and overall experience with the DLC, starting with the location. Phantom Liberty brings you to a new region of Night City in the southeastern area of Pacifica known as Dogtown, a failed development project, now a walled-off city, operated by a militia that's ran by somewhat of a former military gangster. The setting itself was actually my least favorite part of Phantom Liberty. Dogtown is not an extremely large city, as it aims at being more densely packed within the space that it fills. However, something about it just wasn't that impressive either. On the exterior, its appearance is mostly unpleasant, with crumbling, unkept buildings, streets littered with soldiers, and areas that generally appear to have been forgotten. Within other areas are brief displays of opulence and luxury, with some sporadic diverse bits sprinkled throughout. I do understand its appearance is intentional and aligns with the in-game description of Dogtown. However, in my opinion, Dogtown visually felt more like a mashup of locations already experienced in the base game, rather than something more distinct, which I personally would have preferred. With that said, I didn't find it to be that big of a deal. There definitely is more verticality and overall succinctness to Dogtown compared to locations in the base game, and as I progressed through the DLC, to a degree I was impressed by how much detail was tucked away within this tight part of the map. As for the story, this is where things are much stronger. The narrative of Phantom Liberty embodies themes of a spy thriller, complete with missions involving espionage and other pivotal moments where you're faced with deciding who to trust and who to betray. The DLC kicks off with you being contacted by a highly skilled netrunner who agrees to help prevent the relic from destroying your brain, in exchange for you helping her to rescue her boss, the president of the NUSA, whose aircraft has just been hacked and will be crashing shortly in Dogtown. With her help, this netrunner offers you combat software that unlocks a new relic perk tree, granting you new cyberware abilities to defeat your enemies with. After the netrunner later on goes missing, the president has you team up with a sleeper agent and task you both with one mission: rescue the netrunner, and from this point the plot just takes off. Missions take place over a variety of locations, which helps to keep things fresh. Locations such as nightclubs for the elite, lavish parties, mostly abandoned buildings, and a bar known as the Mob, which sort of serves as Dogtown's version of Afterlife. Without spoiling any content, overall, I found the story of Phantom Liberty to be very interesting and engaging. The way the plot continued to unfold had me looking forward to how things would play out, and despite some missions being much shorter than others, throughout the DLC, I never really experienced any extended period of time where I felt like the story was stalled or there was nothing going on. The story is also carried by strong performances from its core characters that you'll be spending a lot of time with. President Myers is a distinguished politician and former Marine, displaying her capability in the DLC's early segments, and can portray a relaxed and familiar attitude on the surface, despite a cold-blooded nature running underneath. Sleeper agent Solomon Reed is a man battling his own demons, always looking over his back, and isn't afraid to get his hands dirty to accomplish any objective placed in front of him. Songbird is the highly talented, friendly netrunner whom you team up with at the start of Phantom Liberty. However, as the story unfolds, it becomes unclear where her true loyalties lie. Lastly, Night City's most secretive fixer, Mr. Hands, makes a return, and is only slightly less elusive as before. However, his connections prove useful in helping you to complete your mission. Phantom Liberty is also full of side characters who add further color to the life of residents of Dogtown, such as a very forward brain dance actress who discovers she has an obsessed fan who believes he's actually her, a young talented boxer aiming to break free from the gang who implanted him with a chip to control and fix his fights, to two hilarious Night City officers who seem to screw up anything they come into contact with. You may even randomly bump into characters from the base game who briefly make a visit to Dogtown. As you approach the final stretch of Phantom Liberty, You'll come face to face with situations requiring decisions to be made, decisions that will affect which of the 4 endings you'll end up with. After having spent so much time with the main characters of the DLC, my relationships with them did cause me to thoughtfully consider the options in front of me, not quite certain how I ultimately felt about certain characters, and I give credit to CD Projekt for putting together a narrative strong enough to produce that effect in me. Furthermore, I was surprised at the amount of content for each of the endings, mistakenly thinking that an alternate ending would just be a quick one and done, when instead I ended up playing an entirely new leg of gameplay with multiple quests for another 2 hours. I'll just recommend that you make a manual save once you reach the point of no return, as witnessing all endings from this point will be much more efficient and well worth your time. In closing, I found Phantom Liberty to be a welcome addition to the world of Cyberpunk, offering a focused and engaging narrative for both new and returning players to immerse themselves in for 15 to 30 hours. Although my mileage varied with the location of Dogtown itself, the experience of the core narrative and its many characters more than made up for it. Whether you're a returning player who's yet to dive into this DLC, or if you're new to Cyberpunk 2077, I would highly recommend picking this one up. Well, that's it for the video. As always, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel to be notified of when new videos release, and leave a comment letting me know what your experience was with Phantom Liberty. If you can't wait for a new video, feel free to check out my prior video on the base game of Cyberpunk here. Till next time.